fire, that big fire in the mountain con? What caused that?
I don't know. You had all, that was a big mine. You had all them old workings. That's where it started. Someplace where a dead level of old working. I really don't know. Maybe combustion.
Yeah.
Can't tell. But it was a big one.
Well, do you remember when they had the Granite Mountain fire and all the men were killed?
No.
You don't remember that?
I was only 6 years old.
Yeah. Do you remember in the mid-30s when they had the strike?
I worked in the Granite Mountain.
Did you?
Yeah, 1940 something. The Anaconda, during the war, World War II, it was not in the 40s. World War II, the Anaconda bought leased the Granite Mountain, see.
Mm-hmm.
They later had it to it all. But that was wartime. Yeah, it was during the war, and they opened up over there and worked it on commission or something, whatever they wanted to call it. I worked a while over there.
Was that a copper mine?
Yeah, it was just the same as the Badger, no different. You walked right over there from the Badger. They were joined together on the 30 where I was. And I didn't stay there very long. And sometimes I got to move around, you know, get goofy. And they dissatisfied. Quit. Get it moving. And when I was in the mountain con for years, I stayed steady. Later years, like that was during the war. I got a bug up my ass during the war there for a while. I lived in the mountain con. I was hearing everything about it. They weren't paying nothing here, see.
What were they paying?
7 something. Not even $8, I don't think.
A day or an hour? An hour?
A day, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was nothing they were paying. I don't know, but maybe I got the wrong kind of whiskey or something, you know. It didn't look good to me, you know. I got disgusted. I told my wife, I'm heading for Seattle. The worst thing I could ever do. You know, no brains. So she was always go along with me. Oh, I had that old 36 Ford. Away I go. Took a couple of sandwiches and she would go, she said she'd come up, you know. I got a job, get to Seattle. Got a job, there were all kinds of jobs. Where the hell would you live? There was no place to live. But I had a friend in Renton, and him and his wife and his 2 kids were living in a tourist cabin. But he took me in. He was just like a brother to me. I was raised with him. So I got a job the next day, carpenter, building a house in Renton. I put 1 shift in there. That's all I wanted that. Only paying $8 a day. $2 an hour, that's what it was. I don't know for that right now. So anyway, I'm wandering around and resting. And my friend, he'd been up there for a couple of years, see? And but he's busy. So here I get into Seattle. And I'm down on the waterfront, going around. I get a job at a shipyard. I forgot the name of it. North Lake Union, up in Lake Union, I think it was. I'm supposed to show up there. I can't get up there. And I only had, I didn't have much money when I left here, see. I'm wandering around there. Well, this day I'm down the Skid Road and I start drinking, see. And that's all I needed. I'm wandering around there with this tramp and that tramp and drinking, see. And you talk about a booming place in 42. And you imagine what that waterfront was. There's a big bar called the Go-In, I think it was called. Oh, geez, bigger. It was like two of the M&M bars put together. Must have been 4 or 5 women tending the bar. Had a big back room, big back. Sea bags, clean to the ceiling, in about half of it, you know. And the bar lined all clear to end to end. I'm up the bar and I meet this guy and all the servicemen, you know, in and out, MPs and Shore Patrol. There I'm in there for 3 or 4 hours drinking. And it was a woman tending bar, kind of husky, black-headed woman. I never saw her in my life. She tending bar. And I'm right close to the tap. She was up pouring a beer, and I'm talking to a guy, and I happened to be talking about Butte, see? She delivered the beer she was filling. She come back to me. She said, Are you from Butte, Montana? I said, yeah, I'm from Butte, Montana. She said, do you know the Kearns in Dublin Gulch? I said, I sure as Christ ought to. My mother-in-law is Liz. She said, I'm her sister, Margaret.
Oh, that's
you know what that meant. And she's the bartender. I got blind. I was blind when I left there. And wartime, me drunk, no you know, everybody in uniform. I was in a bad spot. But a guy told me how to get the hell out of there, get back to renting. And I had just enough, and I was staggered. I took a roundabout way over the waterfront there, and I went up one of them streets. There was a paper vendor up there. Oh, gee. And he had about that many Montana Standards and other papers. This guy, just like he described, I can catch a bus there. I went there, and that guy knew the score. He probably ran into more like that. He said, you get against that wall and stay there. Don't be wandering around. He said. I said, okay. And I hung on to it. And here comes the bus. He said, there she is. I made it into Renton. And I was staggered. And then I had to get on the outskirts of Renton where that tourist layout was. But I made it. I got there. My friend shook his head. You put your neck on the block, he told me. And I did.
Yeah.
If I'd have got picked up, I'd have been in that army before you blink your eye. And my kids and everybody would have been here, see. I would have screwed the whole works. Well, I was still drunk, so I didn't, but the next day I sobered up. I said to my friend, I'm heading out of here. Heading out of here first thing in the morning. He kind of agreed with me. He said, you're better off. So I took off out of Seattle the next morning. Shit, I never had any money, very little anyway, you know. I never had money to be drinking with, you know. But I knew my friend loaned me money. And I sure put my head on the line. I'm back. I'm gone just exactly 2 weeks. I don't know if the FBI hadn't started looking for anything. They were rough, you know, if you're in like that, see. You couldn't, if you were in the classification I was in, you work, you don't lay around, and you don't be quitting. You're exonerated, you know what I mean?
You could mine.
I could mine, see, and they needed you.